It's said that life is a journey best traveled with friends.
Along the way are adventures and misadventures. But if you're Miz Mel's friend, you'll find some Miz adventures.
Join Miz Mel for misadventures with friends and explore the paths of friendship.
Welcome to you. I am your hostess, Miz Mel, and today on Misadventures with Friends, I'll be visiting with my friend Tami. Hi, Tami.
Hi.
I am so glad that you are here with us in stereo, even. We were able to get her to come to directly to the studio, but wouldn't you know, most of the equipment didn't want to work today, so we had to use our alternative recording devices, and we hope that everything's going to go all right. If it won't, we'll find out, and we'll start all over again some other time, won't we?
Yeah.
But our topic of conversation is friendship, and Tami and I have not known each other terribly long.
No.
And I don't know a whole lot about Tami, so we're kind of in a speed friending situation as well, but she agreed to come and discuss our topic, and we're happy to have her here. So we'll just dive right in and just say our first question will be, what does friendship mean to you?
Oh goodness, friendship's pretty important to me. If I'm not careful, it can mean too much. It's very important to me. I feel like I have to have that type of relationship with everyone in my life, just a close, friendly, kind of deeper than surface level bond. And I am so much of a open person. I just kind of, oh, I like you. You're mine. let's bare our souls.
Be my friend.
Yeah.
Be my friend. Yeah, that I understand that. I think for me that's almost a defense mechanism. Let me get it all out on the table first, and figure out if you really do want to be my friend, and then we'll move on from there.
Right. Like, here's all my junk.
Here's my junk. Yeah.
Does my junk match your junk? Awesome.
And sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the most unique friendships can come out of those times when it's not matching baggage and junk.
Right.
Which is kind of cool. When you go into one of these friendships, let's say it's, new friendship, new potential friendship, what are you looking for in that friendship?
I think I'm looking most for someone I can be myself with, that I don't have to like squash myself down, or and then I'm also kind of hyper aware of, am I being that person for my new friend? Am I allowing them to be their true self? And I had a friend one time that told me that I talked too much, and it was the most miserable year because I found myself kind of being aware of how much I was talking and what I was saying, and is this important enough to talk about in front of her? And so I like friends that let me talk.
Well, we're certainly going to let you talk today. Talk all you want to. Well, the expectations there, of being the good friend, being what that other friend needs, often comes with a lot of responsibility. And, personally, I've seen friendships just go by the wayside because not every party involved was willing to put in that kind of effort.
Right.
And work on that kind of friendship. It's like a good marriage. It's got to be worked on.
Right.
And it's going to have its highs, its lows, its bumps, and its crashes into the walls, and and its glory days.
Right.
Same with friendship.
Yeah.
Same with friendship. Tell us about a an unexpected or a unique friendship that you've had? Be more than one.
I think the most surprising ones are the ones that don't start out well. And it's someone that maybe you have to be around that you don't choose to be around, and then you just kind of organically, you're like, oh, maybe you're not as bad as I thought. Actually, I can glean a lot from knowing you. Let's kind of hang out some more. Those are the ones that they're not only surprising, but I find that God works really well with me through those types of relationships too. Maybe there's something He's trying to pull out of me through maybe a friendship that isn't quite as perfect. Those are just as valuable, I think.
Do you have a long-term friend? Somebody that's just been there for ever and a day?
I had, and then when I came to Christ, being formerly an atheist, those relationships kind of slowly fizzled out, and I don't believe that all of them were kind of, just frustrated with each other. We don't get along anymore. It was more, maybe it was God just kind of separating us a little. I don't know. But those were the long-term ones, the 20-plus year ones, the ones I miss, sometimes try to reconnect. And
so in a life-changing experience for you, that became the catalyst for some big changes in your friend circles, in the friendships that you had. What was the response to these old friends?
Well, it varied. Some were happy for me, and tried to remain a friend. We even had ground rules, we're not going to talk about religion, we're not going to talk about politics, we're going to talk about this and that. And it just kind of, I don't know how you could come to know God, the creator of the universe, and not be excited about it when you're sitting in front of someone who doesn't know Him, and just mum's the word, not talk about it. And it just didn't go over very well with some of them. I have one now, and I'm worried it's going to go too. It might not, but what I've found is that God has, I don't want to say replaced those people, but He's always kind of brought me a new group, if you will, and each part of my life that He's kind of working with me in. There seems to be new people coming in, drifting out. Maybe we're not as close as we were a year ago, but I know I can call them and they're still there. And then there's the ones that I talk to daily, and while some people who are important to me are no longer close to me, doesn't mean I don't love them anymore. Still pray for them, but they're not what the Lord uses to develop me, to lead me, teach me. They're people I love, but they're not close. They're on the outside lane, I guess. I don't know how to put it.
That's a pretty good way to put it, yeah. Outside lane of your life. And occasionally we bump.
Right.
And from a spiritual standpoint, Christians are called to be salt and light. So you continuing to be salt and light to those that maybe once were friends, close friends, still acquaintances, but not that close.
Yeah.
Closeness.
We don't do life together anymore.
Yeah. And that's a key phrase there, I think, with a lot of friendships is, are you doing life together? Are you facing the highs and the lows?
Right.
And supporting one another as you do that. Yeah, Yeah. It's a tough road to follow, but it's an important aspect of your walk as a believer to maintain that course and hope that you are not bumping somebody completely off the road
Right.
when they're in that outside lane, but trying to get them to come over into.
I try. I worry about maybe kind of pushing them out on my own because it's uncomfortable. Like, it's a real fear. I don't want to be the one that kind of ended the relationship. I want you to come to Christ. Like, come and join us.
Mm.
It's great over here sometimes.
Come on in, the water's fine.
Yeah. So I don't want to be that person, but more times I feel like I'll ask him to come to church with me and, can I talk to you about some things? It's not met, with enthusiasm, and it's kind of uncomfortable, so it's hard to do, and I don't want to do it,
Well, that's what, we have to really remind ourselves as believers in Christ that it is not our job to save.
Mm-hmm.
It is not our job to convict.
Right.
It is our job to be just what we just said, salt and light,
Right.
to exemplify what a walk with Christ is all about.
Mm-hmm.
Even when we mess up.
Right.
That it's a journey, and often friends, even close friends, are on different paces with that journey. But yeah. Well, what about workplace? What about workplace friendships?
I can't say I've never had real jobs. I've had jobs, but I've been most of my life a stay-at-home parent. But my husband, he can find some people at work he just adores and loves, and I try to talk to him like, okay, don't go talk to this guy that is your subordinate about our marital issues.
Be careful
aware.
about what you share.
Right, exactly. And there's a few that he's invited to church, I believe, that go to church with us now, and I think it would be a welcome thing. I think it would be something you have to tread lightly in an area. I don't think he could go to one of his coworkers and rebuke them the way I can my best friend, or she can do me. Or maybe he could. Hopefully it gets to that point. I don't know. I've never really had a whole lot of experience in that area. Before I had kids, I worked in a business setting, and it was, we're going to go have margaritas after work kind of thing. And it never ended well. It was a bad idea. So maybe the problem was the margaritas.
Most likely.
Yeah.
Yeah, most likely. You did mention a while ago some friendships that were just kind of short term.
Mm-hmm.
Is that important to you, short term friendships, or?
I think they are. I don't believe there's any one person that could come in our life that we can't learn something about ourselves from, or get some kind of insight as to the world around us, or what God may be having to say to us. There are some short-term friendships that got me and my husband through the most difficult parts of our lives. Those are people I see from afar, and I just love them with all of my heart. But our lives aren't on the same trajectory right now, so we just kind of love each other from afar and pray for each other when we need to, and that kind of thing. But I believe that a time will come where we need to kind of be close again, and we will.
Mm-hmm. Well, as our listeners can probably tell, my recording studio is not exactly soundproof. So, you may be hearing the dog barking in the background, but that's okay. She's my friend.
They're super cute dogs, by the way.
Cute doggies, and they're my friends. So, yeah, that's short-term friendships. People are going to come and go in our lives, and we just don't know how that's going to work out.
I used to think like I would be offended if someone kind of distanced themselves and like, oh, what did I do wrong? And even ask them like, what's going on? And it's nothing really. It's just life. They're having babies and running businesses, or dealing with life on life's terms, and doesn't mean your paths won't come closer together one day.
Well, let me ask you about a friendship that becomes draining. Not necessarily a friendship that you're on opposite ends of things with your belief systems or your value systems or stuff like that, but it's just a friendship that becomes draining. It becomes, and I've had these that had to deal with some of that too, where the other person is just, you feel used.
Yeah.
Maybe not abused,
right.
But you feel used, and it's wearing you thin. How do you handle something like that?
Well, first I call my best friend, and I cry, and she says, why did you go hang out with this person? You know better. No, but yeah, there's a couple of people that are like that in my life, and it comes with a little bit of awareness. I like to say I set myself up, when I let them in too close, and things go sour, and I end up crying and having a bad day. Like, okay, well, you know what to expect from this person. If you want to love them properly, you got to put them in this lane. Maybe not the far lane, but definitely not the inside lane. And again, I try to always look at each relationship and, what could I have done differently? What could I do better? God, what are you trying to teach me in this difficult time? And usually it's just that I have an expectation, and that's me setting myself up. So people are going to hurt you, and it can be something as minor as ruining my tablecloth, or it could be something as great as something bad, And I think sometimes I need to just expect that I'm going to learn something, and it could be good or it could be bad and nothing else.
Well, I know that you have a family, you have kids. How involved have you been with your kids and their friendships?
Not as much as I would like to be. Coming to Christ at such a late point in my life, it's not something I didn't take my kids to church. I didn't teach them about God. I had more of a hands-off role in that area, and so there's parts, and this is so convoluted. There's parts because of that I just have to be very cautious about how I enter. I can't go busting in like, I know I hurt you in all these ways when you were younger, but now I'm going to be super mom, and you're going to open up the books and tell me everything. I have to kind of tread softly and be delicate and loving, and I've had my kids come to me with problems about friends before, and I've always said to them, well, did you pray about it first? And this is what I would do if I were you. Like, if you want my advice, if you're not just venting, this is what I would do. And I'm going to allow you to figure this out on your own. And as long as no one's being hurt, you can figure this out on your own, and if you need me, then I'll step in, kind of situation. And it's usually something trivial, like this person keeps saying this thing about me, and I'm proud to say that in most cases I don't have to step in, and their dad is always there for me to kind of, one thing we can agree on is how we raise our kids. So we haven't really had a lot of issues in that area, and I trust that the way we raise them is they're going to be okay, I guess, with the friends. Liberty is a great friend. Like, she buys her friends gifts all the time, and tells me, so-and-so is dealing with this, how do I help them? And she's a really good friend. My son is a little more close to his chest with his relationships, but I think they're good friends.
You're listening to Misadventures with Friends.
Let's just move into some speed friending. We've been serious.
Mm-hmm.
We'll run into some speed friending. I can't even say it. And what made me think about speed friending was watching an episode of Psych.
Mm-hmm.
I love watching Psych, and they had an episode where they were going through speed dating,
Mm-hmm.
where they just move around the room and sit and ask a
Yeah.
bunch of questions and stuff like that. But I always forget to sit down and write questions ahead of time
Yeah.
before meeting up with a podcast interview, so that I'm armed with something.
Yeah.
So, I don't
Maybe
know
we
how.
won't go as fast as you could if you had.
Yeah, if you had something to pull out there.
Yeah.
But we're friends. I know we have some mutual friends,
Mm-hmm.
and
Actually, I used to, we have kind of, our circles have kind of brushed up against each other since I was a child. Your brother was my teacher.
that's true.
Your mother lived in the building I used to clean. She used to bake me food every woman in that building thought that I was just so helpless because I was single. They were buying me groceries and baking me goods to take home to the kids all the time.
So that's a little piece of trivia I hadn't thought about.
Yeah.
That we have, and that's a good way of putting it. Our circles have brushed
Yeah.
up against each other. Yeah, it's amazing when you run into people and you're like, so and so. Well, I know so and so. Or you see something on a social media post,
Yeah.
and somebody comments that you didn't know they knew the person that was
Right.
posting. It was like, how do you know this person
Yeah.
from the other side of the state, and where did you connect?
The
And
whole 6 degrees of separation rule.
yeah, it's crazy, and you just never know, and it sometimes it's worldwide.
Yeah.
You run into people that one of the funniest stories I ever had in traveling is that shows how small the world is.
Mm-hmm.
Was in London at watching a play. I don't remember right off what production it was. And there's this guy sitting like 2 rows down from us,
Mm-hmm.
by himself. And at intermission, he turned around and looked up at our group. He said, "Y'all are from South Carolina, aren't you?" I was like, yeah, some of us are and some of us aren't. And come to find out, he was too. And,
Wow.
and although we had not crossed paths before,
Mm-hmm.
Here was this guy in another country, from the same region
Yeah.
of the South that
That's
some of
amazing.
us were from. And lo and behold, about 3 years later, no, it's longer than that, maybe 5 years later, 6 years later, my husband wanted me to meet this young man that had just moved to the area.
Mm-hmm.
And he was staying at the hotel I was working at. And he introduced him, and as soon as he spoke, I looked at him, I said, "Where were you in April of 1982?
Mm-hmm. He said London.
And he said London.
Jeez, that's crazy.
So, I mean, it was more than 5 years later. Yeah.
Wow.
And back around again.
Yeah.
It was the same person, and he was back in the area that we happened to be in at that time, and
Wow.
so we became friends for a while, and then again, it was one of those short-term friendships that we ended up having a difference of opinion on some things, and
Yeah.
that friendship just kind of drifted apart.
Those are the kind that you have to really question their genuine, how,
Yeah, I think if we question it too much, though, we lose what value the friendship had for that time period.
That's so true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because yes, we ended up with very polar opposites on some issues, and it hurt the friendship because I wasn't gonna budge.
Yeah.
He wasn't gonna budge, and there was no middle ground. There was no, okay, let's stay friends even though we are aware of these differences. And that can happen. You can still, have a relationship with somebody that's doesn't think exactly like you do.
Yeah.
And it just kind of dissolved away, but there were wonderful memories made. There were lots of fun discussion and things like that. So, listeners, don't think that just because a friendship dissolves away that you can't cherish the memories of those friendships.
Right.
Yeah. So that's not really speed friending, but it just goes to show that in conversation with somebody that you really haven't had a whole lot of conversation with, you can find out these things about people that makes the world smaller.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see if we can come up with some questions. Tammy, what is your favorite color?
Green.
Green.
All shades. All colors.
Okay, she's wearing green,
Yes.
by the way.
Usually green. I like, I'm an artist, and I just find there's more variety with green, and it's just always been my favorite.
All right, so you're an artist. What is your medium?
I used to use a lot of oil crayons. I've kind of gravitated more to charcoal lately. A former friend gave me a charcoal kit, and I just love the way it feels on my fingers, the way it slides over across the paper. It's just great. I love it. Beautiful. It's not very colorful, but
There's something to be said for the definition of black and white. This light and shadow.
Right.
That's what gives things contour and shape more than color does.
Right.
Boy, that was deep. Wow, man, let's not get too deep here. We might sink in. Let's see. I'm coming up empty. I told Tammy a while ago, I love this idea of speed friending, but you really need to be prepared. And I didn't prepare myself very well. So I'm going to throw it back on you. Ask me a question.
Where are you originally from, this area?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Born here too?
Yeah. Born in the area that we're in. I've lived in one other state for a very short period of time. And I've done some traveling.
What's your favorite vacation spot? That was my next question.
Next question, mountains.
Oh, me too.
I love the mountains.
I love hiking. Love it.
I would love to hike if my body would let me hike more. That said, I have been on some backpacking trips, but it's been more than 10 years ago, something like that. And I just love the mountains. It's just something about looking out over the mountains or being in the mountains, driving through the mountains, that is both awe-inspiring and terrifying.
Yeah, it's
all at the same
tranquil
time.
and quiet and peaceful, and you never know what you're gonna see over each little hill. Something different.
Something different. Yeah. Wow.
My best friend loves the beach. Loves the
Oh,
beach.
yeah, mine too.
She loves it. And I'm not opposed to it. I like it too, but she would live there if she could.
Yeah, I'm not all up in the sand. You said something about the feel of the charcoal on your hands.
Mhm.
I'm just somebody that doesn't like to have their hands dirty.
Yeah.
And getting all that sand all over me, I'm just not fond of that idea, and things that lurk in the ocean, even close to the shore. Nope, forget it.
Yep. Me too.
I'll go sit and stare at it for a while, and then, inevitably nature calls, and you have to go back to wherever you're staying.
Right.
Just kind of, when you're in the mountains and you're in the woods, that's a different situation. Nature calls, you take care of business.
Yeah.
Or at least that's what I used to teach some of my girls I mentored about. That was that's a tough topic, how to go to the bathroom in the woods. It's wrote an article for a magazine on that one time. So,
Really?
Yeah.
I would think it would be self-explanatory. Like, just go.
Nope, not. For some people, it's not. We're just products of our modern conveniences. Well, we do both know that we like a good laugh. Yes. So that's a check mark for both of us. Let's see. Favorite food?
Oh, Mexican.
Or foods? Mexican? Okay.
My husband's Cuban, so we eat a lot of rice and beans and salsa and tortillas, and that's why my midsection's a little a little wider than it should be. But I definitely lucked out with a Cuban husband.
Okay. So he do some cooking for you?
No, he doesn't cook anything. Nothing.
That's something else we have in common.
Well, I mean, he will. He's such a romantic. He always tries to surprise me, and so for birthdays, anniversaries, sometimes he'll watch a YouTube video. He has cooked for me before, but it's going to be a special occasion. It's not going to be just because I want to be of service. So.
No. Well, my husband says he can make burnt toast and unsweet tea. So. Now, he has made spaghetti before, and out of a box, and he has made pancakes before. Yeah. But those occasions are few and far between. Yeah. That's why I decided my boys would learn how to cook. And so I taught both my boys and my daughter, and my daughter's a fantastic cook. So, yeah. Do you like to cook?
I love to cook, actually. He for someone who doesn't know how to cook, he has pretty high standards for food. He comes from New Jersey, so nothing here is appropriate. Like, the noodles are supposed to be al dente and not fluffy. The rice is al dente, not fluffy like in the South. And I'm like, well, you are in the South, so the rice will be fluffy.
Adapt.
Right. Or overcome and learn.
Oh, goodness. Do you like to read?
I want to like to read. I like to read, but I'm just such a high energy person, and my brain is always, I can sit down and read maybe a chapter, and then I've got to get up and do something else. I just can't sit still.
Gosh.
Yeah.
I could sit for hours.
Yeah.
With a book.
I could in my youth. Absolutely. And I did. It was my escape. I didn't have a great childhood, so I read a lot. But now it's like, I don't want to say I feel guilty, but I almost feel like, should I be doing something different right now? Like, is there any laundry to do? Is somebody needing something? So.
Yeah, I think I've reached a point where I just, there's other adults that live in my household. If they need something washed, they can go wash. If they're hungry, they can make something to eat. I'm just going to sit out here in my escape pod and / studio and read
I'm kind of missing being depended on. Like, my kids are to the point where they don't really, I'm not the universe anymore. I'm more like in the way. Yeah, there was a time where I had to do it all, and I complained the whole time, you know?
We do that,
The
don't we?
whole time. And,
If I could just get a minute to myself, and we could just get, and now when you got a minute to yourself, it's like, what do I do with myself?
Exactly.
I remember going to the grocery store when my children were young and they'd stay at home with their dad, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd go to the grocery store thinking, wow, I can do the grocery shopping in double time now
Mm-hmm.
because there's nobody with me, nobody asking for extra stuff, and I get into the store and then I just stand there.
Yeah.
Staring into space, wondering what to do with myself,
Yeah.
because I can't handle the fact that no one's demanding my attention.
Mm-hmm.
It's a weird time of life, and I'm kind of glad that's over with.
Yeah.
But you know, it's
Well, I wanted God to teach me about my identity, so He's taken away everything.
oh goodness.
My husband works constantly. My kids are independent. I don't babysit my grandson anymore, so now I'm just like, I guess I have to figure out who I am now.
Mm.
I'm not mommy. Who God says I am. So.
Yeah, we put labels on ourselves, and we have labels for seasons.
Yeah.
I think, and it's hard to know exactly who we are sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
and it's hard to hear. It's hard to discern and distinguish who's talking to us,
Right.
and trying to explain that to us. And I'm going to wrap this back around. Sometimes it's friends
Mm-hmm.
that end up being that voice that really conveys
Yeah.
who you are, what you are, where you should be even.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
My best friend is so that for me. I have to preface when I text her. I'll call her. I forget she has a job. Like, how dare she be busy? I'll call her and she doesn't answer. She's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And like, why does she always ask me that? It's because I make a big deal out of everything. So she's really good about like telling me, you know, okay, what can you learn here? What do you think God's trying to say to you? How can you turn this around to be something good? So she's absolutely that for me.
Here's another question I'd like to just kind of throw out there to you. I know you're much younger than I am, but by the time you're your age, you've still had different stages of life.
Mm-hmm.
How has your perspective on friendship changed over time, over different stages of your life?
I think when I was younger, friendship was about finding someone like me. And that was part of my identity. It's like, do we like the same things? Do we like the same music? Are we part of the same friend group? Do we, you know, how similar can we be? And I really went through a hard time when I came to Christ, wanting my friends to come with me and then not coming, because like so much of who I was, you know, trying to take from their identity. Like, that's who I want to be. Like, let's go out, let's do this kind of thing. And I had such crazy expectations on these people to meet my needs and make me feel good about where I was in life and who I was and what was going on. And now my friends they're a part of my life. They're integral. They're not my identity. They're God's my identity, but they're who God uses to speak to me. They're people to pray for me. They're people to ground me and help me see past my own character defects and traumas and say, okay, this is what's really happening. I know this is how you feel, but we know your feelings are fleeting, so my friends, they can be so harsh sometimes. But, I mean, it's with love.
Yeah,
it's because
exactly.
they want the best for me. They're not the type of friends to say, oh, girl, you should leave him. He's horrible. And, they're the kind that say, I'm going to have to take David's side on this because, maybe you are being a little irrational. And that's what we need is people to speak truth to us, to hold us accountable, to pray for us, to love us in the bad parts. I know I drive my best friend nuts. I know I do. I know I do. But she loves me, and so I can be myself in that, and I can be sloppy, messy, over the top, noisy, annoying. It doesn't matter because she loves me, and she's going to see past that and see my heart and love me in all the places that I'm at. And I feel the same way about her. So.
Well, our tagline for the podcast is to go and make a friend and to be a friend. And we all crave friendships, I think. You'd have to be an extremely rare person to say that you didn't want someone to be close to, just as a friend.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard for a lot of people to make friends, but the best way to make a friend is to be a friend and define what friendship means to you. So we want to encourage our listeners to sit down with yourself first and figure out what it means to be a friend, and figure out what you can contribute to a friendship, because it needs to be two-way. Can't be one-sided.
Right.
And then go try to be a friend to somebody. Maybe somebody totally out of your sphere of influence or your sphere of experience, but it's important to step out.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's hard. It's scary, especially for our kids. To, as you said, when you were a kid, you're looking for somebody exactly like you, or somebody you want to be like. But we are our own individual selves. And it's amazing how we can be put together with other people when we open up, when we're honest, truthful, and willing to work at being a good friend.
Right.
So yeah, that's good. Well, I'm not gonna keep my friend Tami much longer. Is there anything that you'd like to add to the?
Thank you
thoughts?
for inviting me out here.
Oh yeah, it's good to get to sit and talk with. I think this is the longest we've had conversation with one another ever.
Yeah.
And it's been several years that we've encountered each other, not just indirectly but directly. So that's been fun. Thank you for chatting with us today and sharing another Miz adventure with me. We thank our friends, old and new, for journeying with us, and we ask that you give us a thumbs up and become our friend on Facebook and Instagram. And we'll just say it once more. Now go out there and make a friend and be a friend. Thank you, Tami.
Thank you.
Have a good one. See ya.
Friendship is so weird. You just pick a human you've met and you're like, yep, I like this one. And you just do stuff with them. Unknown author.
Misadventures with Friends is a production of Depot Street Studios and Rocket 88 Broadcasting. Music is from Storyblocks.com.